Welcome to Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery, where transformation meets action. I'm Eugene Holden. I'm one of your guides on this journey of personal growth, mindset shifts, and deep self-awareness. Each episode, we dive into the tools, wisdom, and strategies you need to break through limitations and step into your highest potential. No fluff, no shortcuts here, just real conversations, practical insights, and a community dedicated to mastery in every area of life. So, if you're ready to unlock your power, elevate your mindset, and create a life by design, then let's get started. Welcome to Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery. Welcome to the deep end. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Eugene Holden's Academy of Self-Mastery. This is where we just dive into what's going on and taking care of whatever's going on through us and with us and through us from a place of power, from a place of clarity, from a place of knowing the truth, whatever that truth may be for you to dive into and to live the life that you're here to live. Mm-hmm. People, and I always want to come back to this to explain. People ask me, so Eugene, why is the self and self-mastery lowercase? Because it's the ego self that needs mastering. Our higher self is already the master of our being. So this podcast, this program, this way of being is exactly that. It's an academy to teach us all. Charan and I are not the teachers. We're just here as your friendly reminders, and we get to talk about stuff. Speaking of Charan, my co-host for this past month, hello, Reverend Charan Barone. How are you?
I am doing wonderful.
Tell me why you're doing wonderful.
Because I have a ritual that I do every morning. Before I even get out of bed, I do all my stretches and everything. And then I come out I have a recliner in my living room, and I come out to my recliner, and I'm an early girl, born and raised in South Dakota. You get up early. So it's quiet. It's really quiet. And I sit in my recliner, and I just go into that place of I do my meditation. I breathe in the presence of God. I exhale. I say, all right, I'm letting this go today. I'm letting this go today. Mm-hmm. And I am just allowing spirit and then to move its way. And in that, I always say, and thank you, sweet spirit, for giving me a joyful spirit. May I spread my joy wherever I go today. And so that's why I'm joyful, because I know that within me, I have been created in and out of that joyful spirit of sweetness, of wholeness, of godness, of love and joy. And whatever I need, whether it's money or relationships or love or whatever that I need, I am supplied because it comes out of that joy of living in spirit. And so why I'm joyful.
That's why you're joyful. That's why you're happy. And that's why life is good. And that's a beautiful thing, right? It's that consistent spiritual practice. Consistent spiritual practice, and like you, I get up early, maybe not as early because I was born and raised in Los Angeles, so maybe I get up, maybe not quite as early, but I'm
not with the milk cows.
Yeah, not with the milk cows, right? But it is about that consistent practice, right? To keep us anchored in, to keep me anchored in what I know to be the truth, that there is this divine intelligence, whatever we want to call it, God, Allah, Krishna, Buddha, Yahweh, just call it forth, right? That there's this divine intelligence. There's something that keeps the earth rotating on its axis perfectly, right? On its axis perfectly, because any degree off of that axis, then life would be a little different. So there's something there. So as just like you and others, the spiritual practice is to keep me anchored in the knowing of that, which brings us to today's topic, right? Spiritual sovereignty versus spiritual bypass. spiritual sovereignty versus spiritual bypass. So I just want to explain just a little bit for the audience, and then we'll go ahead and dive in. So spiritual sovereignty can be looked at as being in possession of your who you are, who you know yourself to be as a spiritual being, whatever that means for you, right? And that your decisions and the way that you live your life come from that place of peace, from clarity, from a place of unconditional love, which, by the way, love by its very nature is unconditional. But coming from that place, that spiritual sovereignty versus spiritual bypass. And that's ignoring, or
Hmm.
how can I say this? Yes, ignoring what seems to be going on and using spiritual terms, to ignore taking care of what needs to be taken care of, right? Like, for example, the example I used before we went on live, right? So let's assume that my arm is broken, right? And I'm like, well, I'm going to do my prayer work. I'm going to, do my meditation. I'm not going to go to the doctor to have this looked at because I know that spirit will take care of this. No, your arm is broken, dude. Go get it fixed. So that's an example of spiritual bypass.
Mhm.
Right. So how do we how do we use that spiritual sovereignty? How do we use who we truly are to deal with the stuff that's going on today? And there's stuff that's going on, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
Yeah. That's the question.
I want to make an analogy here, Eugene, in terms of health, and then I will
Mm,
attempt to bring it to the. So, years ago, when I was young, years ago, I was at the National Institute of Health, and I was giving a seminar, a 2-day seminar for 200 employees on the art of meditation. And because the National Institute of Health was really waking up to possibilities of thinking in different ways, and they wanted to examine this. And so I just, being a spiritual leader at that time, and I was so empowered, and it was wonderful to be there. We did the seminar, and then a few days later, I got on a plane. And oh my goodness, my side started aching. I was so sick. And I said, what the world? I went out, I ate at a spicy restaurant the night before, and I kept blaming it on that
mm,
and that. And I don't know if the plane I had to change planes in Las Vegas. And the woman said to me, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Not really." And she said, "Let me take you out." And so she took me out. And I went to the counter, and she said, I need to catch a plane here. And she said, "You don't look all right." And I said, I'm not all right, but I have to get on that plane. I'll just eat some crackers. So I get on the plane, and there was this wonderful, wonderful, I loved it. I'll never forget this lady. I was sick. I was really sick. And she was quite robust, a black lady. And she sat right by me, and she had bananas. And she said, "I know you don't feel well." She called me Missy. "Hey, Missy, I know you don't feel well," but she said, "I have bananas, and bananas always heal. Eat one of my bananas." So I ate one of her bananas, and she, "Are you all right? Do you feel better?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm feeling better." So then I get off the plane, and my husband comes to pick me up, and he goes, I won't tell you what. He said, "You look like hell." He said, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "I don't know, but I'm going to be fine." So 2 days later, it all passes, and I'm fine. I'm kind of achy, but then my sister comes to town, and I'm as white as the wash machine, and she said, "Frank, we're going to the emergency room." We went to the emergency room. Now, I did not take care of myself. I would probably be dead today if it wasn't for my sister Gail.
mm.
We went to the emergency room, and they said, "You have a ruptured appendix. We have to take this appendix out now."
Wow.
And they said, "This will turn septic. You are fortunate that you did not get whatever that medical word was, that it would rupture entirely, and that, so
Sepsis, yeah.
yeah. So I had to have surgery and all of that. And what that taught me was, first of all, listen to the body. Don't put it off. The body was telling me something. And don't, and I'm speaking to myself now. I have a way of really being stubborn, and I'm going to get done what I need to get done because that's what it is. And I am saying that all of that is, there were signs along the way. And each of us have these signs. We have to pay attention to our body and what's happening. And this analogy is now going to the world that we are living in now. There are signs along the
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
now that we get to make decisions about, whether it's about freedom or injustice, or, being socially aware, or being whatever. It is now time for us to to look at the world and not ignore what is going on right here in our own backyard, but certainly across the nation.
Yeah. Yeah. I loved what you said, and thank you for that story and the analogy. And I want to, also remind people that the body is such an amazing creation, and it tells you what's up. So
Mhm.
listen to the body. Listen to the body. And there are things going on, and you're right, right? And not to ignore what's going on. One of the things I've been saying lately, I don't know, I'm not ignoring what's going on,
Mhm.
right? Let me put it this way. I'm not ignorant to what's going on. I'm not
Yeah.
ignorant to all of the stuff that is said in the news. I'm not ignorant to any of that, but I am ignoring that it has any power over me.
That's the key. Say that again. Say that again, Eugene.
I am
That's
not ignorant to what's going on in the world, but I am ignoring that it has any power over me. It
that's the
doesn't
key
have any
right there.
power over me at all. So,
Mhm.
and that comes from the power that I'm speaking of, comes from that consistent practice of meditation and affirmative prayer and contemplation and reading and affirmations. And then I get to go out and be who I am here to be, doing what I am here to do. Right. So for me, it's not mine to do to go out in March.
Yeah.
That's just not mine to do. That's for other folks who are doing that, and that's a good thing, right? Because we each have our divine assignment. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what we were speaking about the last time, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, but what mine is to do is to raise and to keep that vibration, as Elle said in one of the podcasts, to keep that vibration of hope up, to keep that vibration of love up, right? So yeah, so that's what we are here, and sometimes it's not an easy thing to do, and that's just the little small self that wants to get pulled into being scared, wants to get pulled. That little small self is so used to being and living from a place of separation,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
So, and that's where the work is to change that,
Mm-hmm.
and to master that little small self that goes, I'm not enough. What can
Mm-hmm.
I do?
Mm-hmm.
There's all of this that's going on. My voice doesn't mean anything. Your voice matters, however you
Yes.
use it.
Yes. Yes to that. And I'm also reminded of, that piece of scripture that we have shared many times about, the power that is within you is greater than the one that is in the world.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why I spend time in that meditate in that with spirit every day is so I can be anchored in that. Because when we walk out into the world with, I don't know, going to the grocery store, turning on the television, it's coming at us. And if we are anchored in that knowing, there's something there that can come up that says, hey, Sharon, you could make a different choice here, even though you may be a little bit anxious about, oh my God, are they really going to take, Medicare away? How's it going? How, but in that moment, and I believe this is part of that small s self-mastery that we're talking about. If we can master our mind each day in the decisions and choices that we are making, then that has it has an effect into our world and globally as well. And one of the questions that keeps coming up through a friend of mine and through people that talk to me is their question is this: with everything that is going on, what is it that we can do? And you answered it in part, Eugene. You said, you're not you're not the one that's going to go out and march. Everybody has something special that they can do, whether it's to make phone calls, they're enough to
Right.
do that, whether it's to share with the people down the street, or I know of a neighborhood group that gets together and they talk about how they could make a difference.
Right.
Right there, it's in our conversation, it's in our love that we show, and it's in remembering that there is a power for good and we get to use it. And we don't have to fall victim
Right.
to the circumstances that seem to, be coming at us each and every day.
Right. Right. Yeah, yeah. And to have control or to take control over our emotions.
Mhm,
And I love that, of course, we want to be aware of the thoughts that we think. And
mhm,
just as importantly, being aware of the emotions that we feel, right? Because I can have this emotion, God, I'm so pissed off, and I love that emotion
mhm,
of anger. And the reason why, Chart, is because underneath, let me turn this down some. Underneath that emotion of anger is this love. I'm
mhm,
angry because something within me has been hurt, and I'm
mhm,
hurt because there's something within me that feels that is not in vibration or in alignment with the love that I know that is true. Right.
mhm,
Now, as
mhm,
cliche as this may sound, but it's the truth that is always true, that love is all there is.
mhm,
Right.
mhm,
So how do I, what is mine to do? And for me, that's my second question. My
mhm,
first question is, who am I to be in
mhm,
this situation, whatever
mhm,
that might be? Who am
mhm,
I to be? Right. Because when I get clear on who I am to be, now that informs what's mine to do.
mhm,
Right. So maybe the situation, nationally speaking, we have all of this stuff that's going on. There are enough people who are being upset. There are enough people that are being angry about what's going on. They don't need me. I don't need to join those numbers. I bless them and all of that. Great. My job, who am I to be in this? Let me be let me be an anchor. Let me be an anchor of peace. For an example, I was out to get my cup of coffee, and the guy who manages the place, I ask him, so hey, how's it going? Because that's how I am. Hey, how are you doing today? And he goes, well, how he began this conversation. Well, I really can't complain. And then he commenced to complaining. And so I just smiled. He goes, this is what's going on, and this is what's going on. And I'm like, okay, so I thought you said you can't complain.
mhm,
Like I
mhm,
said, you know what? Yeah, all of that is going on, my dear friend, but you're here for a different purpose.
mhm,
Your purpose, and you're at the counter, you're here to serve.
mhm, mhm,
So where do you want to serve from?
mhm.
And he goes, oh,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. I see, because
Mhm.
here's the thing. You really can't change what has gone on, because what
Mm.
has gone on has gone on.
Yeah, it's going on. Yeah.
It's gone on, right? But what you can change, what we can change, is the way that we take what's going on, the way that we think about what's going on.
So this is what I'm hearing you say, Eugene, is that this is applicable
Mm.
in any situation, whether
Yes.
you're at the gas station or someone's complaining or you're listening to the news and then relatives of yours, this happens, all the time. People fractured family relationships because of political differences divide.
Right. Right.
So what I'm hearing you say is, who do I get to be in this moment?
Yeah.
Am I going to be rage? Am I going to be am I going to be anger? And I just heard you say there's already enough rage out there. There's
Yeah.
already enough to, so who am I going to be?
Yeah.
And when we ask that really vital question out of ourselves, it is what we bring next. Who am I going to be? Well, you were wisdom in that moment. And what I
Right.
heard was wisdom with
Right.
that person. Well, who am I going to be? And yes, all of us want to say, well, I'm going to be love in this moment, but wait, wait a minute.
But
Yeah,
wait. Well, hold up.
yeah, hold up. But I like knowing that I get to be who I know who I am in that moment and to bring that to the fractured relationship, bring
Yeah.
that to the world. And that to me is a very practical way of what we are talking about here at in this podcast is self-mastery. Because what we have done then is we've taken ourselves and our awareness and we said, oh, I know that I don't have to be angry about this anymore. I get to be patient in this situation. And I can bring my patience to it, and therefore I can bring, what you did, wisdom. And I always marvel at this, and we talked about it earlier, Eugene, that I always marvel at the fact that what spirit has put together, you never know the lives that we are touching.
Right.
We
Right.
we we just
Right.
don't know in that moment.
Right.
That person that you were talking to, not only did you change, what he did during the day, but you changed his life. He's going to
Yeah.
work on that every day.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
Or not, because that's his choice, right?
oh, that's true. Yes,
Right,
yes.
right. Now he may have changed his life for that day, for that moment, maybe for that week. But see,
Hmm.
that's the practice of self-mastery because it takes practice. It's like, oh, okay. So, I mean, one of the practices that I give, clients in classes sometimes is, okay, so the assignment is no complaining for 7 days.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not just complaining verbally, but in our minds,
Yes.
right? Because the spiritual bypass, it could be, okay, well, I didn't speak a complaint, but so I didn't complain. Well, no, what about what's going on in here? Are you
Mhm.
complaining within your mind? Right. So,
Mm.
and what I love about that exercise, and I don't tell my clients or the people who are in my classes why I give this assignment. I'm going to say it now, though, is the purpose for that particular assignment. No complaining, and I'm giving you guys out there who is watching this that assignment as well. No complaining for 7 days. The purpose for that exercise, Charn, is to make us aware of how much we might complain.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
when we become aware, we can go, oh, okay, all righty.
Yeah.
I want to use that. I want to go back to who am I to be in this situation. And with everything that's going on now, this is what I think that we're all being called to be more of. And that's to be more, dare I say, the other F word, forgiving. I jokingly speak,
Ooh.
say that, but maybe we're called to be more forgiving.
Hmm.
I came across something just a few days ago around that, and I speak about forgiveness a lot. And the power of forgiveness is in acceptance.
Mm. Hmm. That's
Yeah,
key.
there's a lot of stuff going on.
Hmm.
You can't deny that. Now we can try to. Yeah, but let's accept what's going on. Forgiveness doesn't mean that we're cool with what's going on or what has happened. Forgiveness is for us to let go of the hurt and the resentment. Right.
Mhm.
So how do we deal with what's going on? First, go within. Who am I
Mhm.
to be here? You
Mhm.
know, one of my main things is I am the joy of God. I am the joy of spirit. I'm the joy of life, right? And I am not going to let anything move me from my joy.
Mhm.
Now, does stuff happen throughout the day? Yep, every single day, right?
Yes.
But
Yes. Yes.
every experience is an opportunity for me to remember to become a member again, remember to become a member of again my joy.
Mhm.
To remember, oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, okay. So who do I need to be in this situation that's taking me out of my joy? Let me be back in my joy.
Yeah. You know what? I want to go back to a word that you said, Eugene. You said you used the word try, and when I think about the word try,
I
I
use try.
yeah, yeah. And someone told me a long, long time ago, they said, open a page of a book and go to that page and try to turn the page. So you turn the page,
You turn the page.
yeah,
Yeah.
you turn the page. So really, and going back with the forgiveness part, when we are trying to forgive,
We're not
it's
forgiving.
we're not forgiving.
Right.
And I think what's also, no, I want to say something more than I think.
Come on
I
now.
believe that when we are working with forgiveness and acceptance, forgiveness does not mean resignation.
Right.
You're resigned to it. But acceptance means that you can accept that person or that choice of what's going on in the world and to be okay with it because you are not no longer giving it so much power in your life that it's dictating your actions. Because what we all know, what we put our attention on, we energize. What
Right.
we focus on, we energize.
Right.
And I don't want to focus being not being forgiving. I don't want to focus on, I don't want to give my power away like that.
Right.
You said, to live in that joy. So
Right. I want to also make this disclaimer. I don't know if it's a disclaimer or not, but I want to say this is just because we forgive somebody doesn't mean that we need to invite them to dinner.
oh, thank you. You just gave me permission.
Right? You know,
Yes.
I find
Yes.
I forgive you, I love you, go away.
Yeah, yes. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because it doesn't fit within this vibration that I choose to live in. Yeah.
Now that sounds to me like I don't know you tell me the words for it, but this is what I'm thinking. That sounds to me like a spiritual divine right to do that.
Yeah, that's standing in my integrity for me.
Yes. Yeah. 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 And to
Yeah,
not feel guilty about it because this
right.
is what, yeah. Yeah.
Standing in my authentic self.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I forgive you and
Mm-hmm.
move on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay. Now, it took
There's this old analogy, in my cowgirl world. And so you have a bucket of mud and you go out to the spigot. In case you don't know what a spigot is, it's where you hook your hose up on. But anyway, you go out to the spigot and the bucket of mud, and you turn on the spigot. I mean, the bucket of dirt, and you turn on the spigot. You turn on the water, and what happens? Well, in this
mm,
bucket of mud, it makes mud, and then it flushes up, and next thing you know, and I believe that this is where we are in our world today. There's a whole lot of buckets of mud all over everywhere. And now we get to go to our own spigot of divine light, divine guidance, love. We get to turn on that spigot every day to cleanse ourselves of
yes,
whatever our erroneous thinking. And then
right,
when we cleanse ourselves, then we can take that out into the world
right,
and to say, wow, I get to be this now. I get to, like you said, I get to be this.
Yeah.
So I think not I think, I believe that it's incumbent upon all of us to do that kind of self-examination. And when
Yes.
it's time to take that bucket and put it underneath the cleansing, healing spigot, then that's what we do, because all of that stuff, whatever's in that bucket, it's just coming up to be healed.
Right.
It's just coming up
Exactly.
to be healed.
Exactly. And as when healing goes on, there's a point in that process where it just doesn't feel good. When in that process of healing, it just doesn't feel good, but that's a part of the process.
Yeah.
So I want to invite everyone to stay with the process of your own healing, right?
Hmm.
So again, ooh, really? So besides the assignment of no complaining for 1 week, for 7 days, and if you complain, okay, it's all right. Be kind to yourself. Just be aware that that's what's going on. And if you want to change that, well, then now it's coming to your awareness to change that.
Hmm.
So then you start to complain less, right? But also the other assignment that I want to give is to allow yourself, folks out there, and myself and Charon as well, is to allow ourselves to bring to mind something or someone that is calling for our forgiveness
Mm. Mm.
and be
Hmm.
willing to forgive them or
Ooh.
forgive it. Remember, forgiveness is not about that person or that thing. Forgiveness is about setting us free from the past hurts and resentment, and it frees us. Forgiveness is a key
Hmm.
to our freedom.
Hmm.
See, that's how we master that lower self,
Hmm.
is to be willing, to be willing, to be willing to forgive, to be willing to love, to be willing to accept, no matter who they are. I love the my definition of unconditional love is this, Charan,
Hmm.
is to love no matter what, no matter what that person has said or did not say,
Hmm.
no matter what that person has done or has not done. That's unconditional love, which means now let me turn that unconditional love to myself. Let me love me no matter what I've said or didn't say, or done or didn't do.
Hmm.
And let me forgive myself because that is an act of love.
Hmm. Mm. Beautiful. Beautiful, Eugene.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I think we can close on that one.
Amen to that.
Amen to that. Hey, folks, I want to invite you, if you have any questions that or any topics that you want us to at least touch upon and mention, send me an email at Eugene@EugeneHolden.com. Eugene@EugeneHolden.com. And Sharon and I and the rest of the team
Hmm.
will do what we can to address that. Speaking about the rest of the team, so folks, every 5 weeks we'll have the entire team on here. So next week we have Reverend Charan Barone, who I have with me now. Then the other special guest host is Reverend Melissa Moranobles and my beautiful friend Elle Grinnell. Next week is going to be a party. Or as one of the
I
ladies
can feel
said,
it now.
right? As one of the ladies said to me, that's going to be a fruit salad. Again, Charan, thank you so very much for being here. I admire you. I love you.
I love you too, Eugene.
Everybody, thank you for tuning in to Eugene Holden's Academy of Self Mastery. Again, Eugene@EugeneHolden.com. Send me whatever you want to have us address, and we'll get to that at some point. All right. Peace and abundant blessings, everyone.